Yo, 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 it's Big Ant, the spokesman, man. We back. Another edition of Urban Politicians TV, UPTV. Make sure you stay on your pivot at all times, man. Had to come tap in as the Clipse have officially announced their release date for their album, July 11th. Let God Sort Them Out. Now, they put out a single last Friday, Ace Trumpets, and decided to do an interview with GQ about everything going on because it was supposed to drop last summer, got delayed. We wasn't really all the way in the know of what was going on with the album being delayed and things like that, but they broke it down. How things happened at Def Jam, with it being under UMG, how the Kendrick Lamar and Drake battle affected it. Also, he talked about the stuff with Jim Jones in the several interviews, speaking on him and ranking him in the game and the song he put out and a couple bars he had kind of gave Jim on the song that they had released at the runway and stuff like that. Also talked about Kanye, but what started circulating around the blogs today is him saying in this GQ interview that Def Jam had dropped them as a duo and him as a solo artist because he did not want to delete or get Kendrick Lamar to adjust the verse, and then gave his opinion on everything going on with the lawsuit. And I grabbed parts of the write-up and they say this: if you expected the album last summer, the brothers sympathized. So did they. Pusha says they felt confident, proud, and assured of themselves when they presented the music to Def Jam. The label loved what they heard, except for Kendrick Lamar's guest verse on the thunderous Chains and Whips, the final version of the song that Pharrell teased at his first LV runway show, and the song Pusha says was the first to come out of their sessions. But after a summer of beef between their two biggest artists that resulted in a still ongoing lawsuit from Drake, Def Jam's parent company, UMG, blanched at the antagonist optics of two of Drake's biggest enemies, linking on wax. Pusha calls their apprehension stupid, primarily because none of the bars in Kendrick's verse, otherwise excellent verse, could really be perceived as a shot or even subliminal. It does, however, contain the stellar line, "Therapy taught me how to open up. It also showed me I don't give a F." Pusha can barely contain his disgust recounting how the stalemate with Def Jam played out. They wanted me to ask Kendrick to censor his verse, which of course I was never doing, he explains. And then they wanted me to take the record off. And I said, so after a month of not doing it, Steve Garley, the lawyer over there, was like, well, just drop the clips because that can't work because I'm still here, solo. But if you let us all go. Sure enough, Def Jam eventually agreed to release the clips and drop Pusha as a solo artist, freeing the duo up to shop for a new home with a finished Clipse album and plenty more music in their pockets. Ultimately, Pusha says the endeavor was gratifying. It felt good to even see how other labels were buying for the project. Now, as they teased last week, with a picture in front of labels' plain insignia, they've ended up at Jay-Z's Roc Nation, where they feel fully supported and energized. I think that's the synergy, just in a rap sense. It's going to speak volumes, Pusha says, of the partnership. So for the record, bait jobs like buying and wearing Neptune's pieces from the same era that Clipse thrived in aren't going to do the trick. He's always said he was a fan. So I feel like that was something a fan would do. It wasn't like P, which is Pharrell, was hurting for money and sold his jewelry. Pusha laughs dismissively, referring to chains Drake bought at an auction. If Drake's adamant to have a lawsuit, it's only because he knows all the things that they did to suppress everything that was happening around Adidon and the verses and the records and things that were happening back then. I don't rate him no more, Pusha says of Drake's off-wax antics. The suing thing is bigger than some rap-ish. I just don't rate you. Dang, it's like it's just kind of cheapens the art of it once we got to have real questions about suing and litigation. Like what? For this? Now, they did go more in depth in these conversations, but I didn't want to just sit here and read it word for word. I wanted to just get to the main points when it came to what was getting put all over the headlines today, all over the internet. Of course, Drake name come up, Pusha T with the battle they had a few years ago before the Drake and Kendrick went all the way up. This was what, 2017, 2018 when they was kicked off. So this right here most definitely was a part of this conversation. It's coming up because they got dropped from Def Jam. But if you read it Pusha T explains more about how he felt like music was being suppressed and stopped at the label on behalf if it's true that they are suppressing Drake music or highlighting this music or not. He said, well, Drake would know that because he's done it before, in other words and things like that. But he said, why we getting into litigations overall and all? He talked more in depth about the relationship with Kanye and what things went left for them at, and him making albums and music and not him getting back with Pharrell and stuff. So this right here is just one of them conversations, man, where you stand in the game. Me, at this point, I think that the lawsuit has to clear for it to even move on and not be a part of Drake's conversation no more. Yes, Drake still gonna drop music, produce numbers and things like that. But I don't really want to hear any dissing from him anymore. Just keeping it all the way 1,000. No matter how anybody feel about it, no matter how you feel as a fan of Drake, anybody else, if you are the person that is going to get the legalities involved in diss records and things like that, no matter how it happened, why it happened, at the end of the day, bro, Kendrick Lamar music hit harder. He produced a hit record. The people gravitated to it instantly. Drake even said that it was a bop at that time. Like, hold on, that would go for sure. They just did the marketing of it. That's just how that's what the way this industry works. Kendrick Lamar is a top tier artist. He's a top tier lyricist. It went up. It was a hit. DJ Mustard gave a fire beat in the production. Everything was just on point for us. So it was destined to go up because the entire world was looking for the music at that time as well. Drake's just didn't hit as hard as Kendrick's did. It just is what it is. But people want to turn it into this and get into the technicalities and who used what for promo and everything like that. But with this going on, bro, I'm over it kind of now. But, you know, Pusha T was going to get asked about it because of their prior issues, and then it causing him to get dropped from Def Jam because they had to leave Def Jam because they're like, well, hold on, bro. Y'all try to control on what songs we gonna drop now? We can't get a Kendrick Lamar verse because y'all feel it's too shaky? Well, we just gonna go ahead and move around and go somewhere else. Let us go. Give us the release papers. We gonna go do our own thing now. And if you've seen the interviews throughout the years or just paid attention to the game on how releasing songs and music and projects work, I understand exactly what Pusha T is saying, where Drake and Kendrick is in the middle of this battle right now. We don't want him to release a verse that he dropped on your project because it's going to make it seem a way certain people may perceive it like that. We don't want to interfere with what Drake and Kendrick Lamar got going on. And then Pusha T probably trying to tell them, well, bro, he's not on there dissing Drake, so it's not even going to look that way at all. But because Pusha T has already had a prior beef with Drake, the conversation is going to be, well, hold on, y'all choosing sides now and things like that. And then what do you know? A lawsuit end up coming from it regardless. Even though they didn't put that song out and stuff, this might would have made his way into that lawsuit as well eventually, because he could have been like, and his team, Drake and his team could have been like, well, hold on, they got two people I don't get along with on the same song. But the label wasn't concerned with that at the time. They looking at it like, we got two of the biggest guys in the game going at it right now. J. Cole was going to be involved in it at first. It would have been the top three, the big three at that point, what that conversation was going at it. They was going to sit back and let that play out. And they're like, well, hey, man, we ain't going to have Pusha T up in it, and we don't want that verse on that album until them adjust it. But really, at the end of the day, man, they was letting all this other music come out, and I don't know how everybody else, the other artists that was involved, just throwing little jabs, though. But, man, they be trying to control this thing as far as, like, the marketing and the conversation of it. But Pusha T say, man, I ain't with that, bro. I got to be able to put my music out how I want to put it out. I ain't telling nobody do no readjustments on no verses. I'm not playing the political game, man. He done gave us a flawless verse already. So this is a crazy thing. This is how the politics works behind the scenes, man. Tell me what y'all think. We got more coming, more videos, all that. 1,000 for shit show. Stay on your pivot.